Back to our channel. We have two channels, RR Legal Talks and RR Corporates. Now we are discussing a complete IPO process in India. SEBI rules, timelines, stakeholders, and market process. Complete guide. Thinking of taking your company public or investing in IPOs? This video is your complete guide to the IPO process in India. From eligibility, due diligence to DRHP filing, SEBI review, share allocation, listing, understanding the role of merchant bankers, registrars, underwriters, and legal counsels and SEBI regulations, complete that governs an IPO. This is perfect for startups, founders, and legal professionals and retail investors. So we'll talk on the chapter-wise breakdown. I'll explain what is an IPO and definition of IPO, that is initial public offer, and types of equity versus debt IPOs, and difference in rules for private and public companies, objectives of IPOs like fundraising, brand credibility, exit strategy for early investors. And we'll also talk on the legal foundation of IPOs, governing regulations, SEBI ICDR regulation 2018. And there are key chapters. Chapter 2 talks about the eligibility requirements for IPOs. And Chapter 3 of SEBI ICDR regulation talks about the disclosures. And Schedule 5 is talk about the due diligence certificate. And Schedule 6 talk about the format of red herring prospectus, that is DRHP. And activity, full SEBI ICDR eligibility. So including finance, net tangible assets, profitability, track record. So all complete will take around 6 months. And the board approval for going public, yes, including the changes in articles of association if required. And another activity, shareholders approval via EGM, because whatever special resolutions are required, that special resolutions has to be passed in EGM for public issue. And appointment of intermediaries is another activity. Intermediaries like BRLMs and registrars and legal counsels, etc. We will talk about intermediaries in length. And virtual data room setup. It is required for internal and external document collation. And due diligence process starts and ensures all disclosures are materially correct. For the due diligence process is required. And ensuring that due diligence and issuance of due diligence certificate, once the due diligence process is completing, then issue due diligence certificate, it is required under SEBI ICDR Schedule 5. Certificate is required. And filing of DRHP, filing of this draft red herring prospectus with SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India. So DRHP is submitted by merchant banker. And after filing DRHP, again newspaper publication is required. So public announcement of the offer. Then public comments period, 21 days time will be given. On SEBI and stock exchange websites, it will be published. And then SEBI and stock exchange is a review. And they will review and observations and clarifications will be given. Then attending that observations and clarifications, final prospectus will be filed, that is RHP, that is red herring prospectus. Earlier is draft red herring prospectus. Final prospectus will be filed post SBI comments incorporation. After that, IPO opens for subscription, and then ASBA and syndicate agreements begins. IPO closes typically 3 to 5 days, and allotment of shares based on the demand and investor categories, and listing approval, trading begins, and must be within 3 days of the closure. And next stage, next activity, refund on non-allottees, bankers issue refund. Then overall the parties and intermediaries and their roles. So the statutory stakeholders, book running lead managers, that is called BRLMs, merchant bankers under SEBI, merchant banker regulations. BRLMs, that is book running lead managers, that is what we call merchant bankers. And registrar to the issue. So they manages the application process, allotment and refunds, complete managed by the registrar to the issue. And there are bankers to the issue. There is escrow banks, handle IPO funds. So bankers to the issue, they will handle escrow banks, and the escrow banks will handle these IPO funds. There are syndicate members, so registered entities under SEBI for ASBA and collecting bids. And underwriters, they assume minimum subscription, and monitoring agencies as per SEBI norms. Stock exchanges is grant listing and trading approvals. And then not we talked about the statutory stakeholders and non-statutory stakeholders, legal counsels draft the documents, due diligence they do, and values determine issue price range, and chartered accountants, company secretaries, those certify the financials and file ROC forms, and printers for DRHP advertisement and RHP documents they print. And advertisement agencies are there for IPO advertisement, public notices, and market practices and valuation insights. There is IPO grading that is optional under SEBI provided by credit rating agencies. And valuation metrics involves PE metrics, EV, EBITDA, DCF. Then price discovery. Price discovery is a primarily demand driven via book building process. Anchor investors are the QAB. These QABs, they invest in 10 crore plus stabilized price sentiment. And then retail participation trends, oversubscription, lottery methods, small ticket size. And then compliance best practices and timelines. I'd explain the importance of that is the important clean keeping of books of accounts very clean. That will save the time. Avoiding litigations and disputes pre-IPO, that also will save the time. And stay SEBI compliant in the process. So then my advice would be non-compliance with DRHP disclosures. So better be compliant. And ignoring generally what people will do, many of the non-compliance with the DRHP disclosures and ignoring public comment period feedback. And we saw weak coordination among the intermediaries. So and another thing, overpricing or unrealistic valuation we are seeing in some of the cases, and inadequate investor communication strategy. These are all has to be taken care. And my final advice and tip is IPO is a long but rewarding process. For investors, always read DRHP. Focus on fundamentals. For the promoters, choose experienced intermediaries and follow SEBI norms strictly. Here my disclaimer is this video is only for educational purpose. It does not constitute legal, financial or investment advising. So please consult with a qualified professional before making any decision based on IPO participation or company listing plans. Thank you. We have two channels, RR Corporate and RR Legal Talks. Please do subscribe, do the channels. Thank you.